Hi there. Thanks for joining. We'll get started soon once Amanda arrives. Hi there. Thanks for joining. We'll get started soon. Thank you. Hi there.
Hi,
How are you?
good. How are you doing?
Fine, thanks. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so honored and excited and a little
Oh,
nervous.
no, 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 no. Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. You're gonna be great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So far we have a small group, but I will save it to Instagram Live
Okay.
and to my page and stories, and people can just log on later. And we'll probably have people just coming in and out as we go along.
Okay. Sounds good.
Awesome. And I did pin our topics below at the bottom of the screen, just to kind of help us to kind of follow along. I like to kind of keep track of where we're going here. So
Yeah, nice.
there we go. So again, thank you so much, Amanda, for taking the time. I'm looking forward to our chat, and I want to just jump right in there before the time gets away from us. And so the first question I'm going to ask you, if you could please share with us your vegan journey, how you started, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, wow. Um, just a funny side note, I was actually vegetarian in high school. So it was something that I was curious about before. But I really don't have or didn't have any vegetarian or vegan friends, and it wasn't something that I knew much about. I definitely didn't know what I was doing in terms of health at that time, and parental pressures to not be vegetarian then, and all kinds of stuff. So, um, fast forward quite a while. I'm 32 now, so about five and a half years ago, I had some digestive issues that had kind of been growing. It starts small and you don't really think anything of it. And I've been self-employed for a long time, so I didn't have health insurance when all of it first started. And I was like, okay, we're just gonna ignore this for a while, but it got much worse. So I got health insurance for the purpose of dealing with that through the marketplace here in the States one year. And so that was about 5.5 years ago, and I knew that I had to deal with these digestive issues. And the first thing that they did was a colonoscopy because we have colon cancer that runs in our family. And I think that that was one of the worst things they could have done with where I was at that time, because there was already so much inflammation happening that it just completely tore me up. It irritated everything. And I wound up with a tear in the lining of my intestines, and it wouldn't heal because I was actually also anemic at the time. And I was eating pretty much whole foods. I was eating kind of a paleo style at the time. I was scared of carbs for sure. I was very into fitness. I was eating a lot of like grilled chicken, grilled fish kind of stuff, and a lot of veggies. Um, and I had, because I knew that I was already having issues, I was having some green juices at the time. So I had started exploring that because I knew I wasn't digesting things well. And so then when that tear happened, it landed me in bed for about 3 months. And I was, I guess, like 26 or 27 around then, and otherwise healthy because I was very into fitness. Still am. And it just didn't seem like something that should be happening. And I was also under a lot of stress at the time. I have being self-employed, I had my first business I started 8 years ago, and we had a client at that time who was really uh, just very intense. Everything that they wanted right away, but we didn't get any warning for it. And it would be like calls at like 10 o'clock at night, like, we need this tomorrow at 8 a.m.
No way. That's
Yeah.
like more than stressful. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know what that is.
It was ridiculous is what it was. And they were our biggest client. And I mentioned that to also reinforce, I mean, health is so much more than just what we put in our mouths. Stress is so important in
Totally.
terms of managing health.
Totally.
Yeah, yeah. So after being stuck in bed for 3 months, I had two surgeries. They said that the tear would repair itself, and it never did. And so then I wound up having surgery for them to try to repair it, and they did some things that I requested that they not do because some of those surgeries can leave you incontinent, and I didn't want that risk, but I mean, I didn't know what else to do either. Um, so I never really I just kind of let that one go. But and then that got infected, so I had another surgery because my first surgery got infected. It was just this total snowball from the colonoscopy. And I kept asking, there's got to be something different I can do with my diet. Like, there must
Yes.
be actually my digestive tract. And they said no over and over and over again. And they gave me so many painkillers that the pharmacist told me one day that she legally couldn't give me any more.
Oh, oh,
And they kept prescribing them. So, like,
oh.
there was such a
That's a bad
disconnect.
sign. And that's just a bad sign. That is
I
such a
have
bad sign.
to be really fair, because I've known other people with Crohn's and ulcerative colitis and things like that now. I think I also had some of like the worst possible doctors. Like, doctors are great. I'm not anti-doctor. I just think that it was a really, really bad scenario that I didn't know anything about at the time. And I
Gosh.
actually discovered a few people online who talked about going vegan for their colitis issues. And I don't think any of them were from the States, actually, from the ones that I found. So they have different sort of terms that they use, or different tests that they use, or different metrics in these other countries. But I was like, hey, I'm going to try anything. And a lot of them were advocating specifically a lot of fruit. I was like, okay. Um, and I had fasted. I had tried just juice for a while because I was in so much pain. And then I even just water fasted. I slept all day, every day for about a week with nothing but water because I was in so much pain that I couldn't put anything else in there. And I was like, okay, well, whatever this is, it is way better than what's already happening. So we're going to try it. And within days, the pain was gone.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh. Okay, no, no.
yeah.
I need you to please repeat that, Amanda. Please do us all a favor and please repeat that.
I was stuck in bed for 3 months. I started eating fruit. Within days, the pain was gone.
That to me is like one of the most powerful testimonies I've ever heard. And I'm not just saying that.
Yeah, it was nothing short of a miracle. It really was. My mom was coming over to help me with stuff like laundry and just basic things that I couldn't do for myself as a fully grown adult and who was otherwise healthy, who thought she was eating healthy, who was into fitness. There was no reason for me to be that sick to my knowledge at the time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even take care of myself. It was devastating. I was so confused.
No, because you were following the healthy standard diet uh,
Mm-hmm.
of what we call clean protein, which
Mm.
now we know
Mm-hmm.
they're animals, but you
Yeah.
know, people call it, oh yeah, a clean protein diet
Mm-hmm.
and, lots of fresh fruits and veggies, for example, or
Mm-hmm.
steamed veggies or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you were following pretty much the gold standard.
Yeah, it was. That was what was so crazy was that, I mean, most of my life, and at some point in high school, I realized that if I didn't pay attention to what went in my mouth and if I didn't try to get physical activity, that I was probably not going to, I'll be totally honest, I wasn't going to look the way I wanted to look.
Right. There's so much social pressure, aesthetics.
Yeah, and that's what I cared about as a teenager.
Yeah.
And my
We all
genes.
did. We all did. We all did. I did too.
Yeah, I was not dealt some very good genes. They weren't the worst, but they're definitely not the
Yeah,
best.
yeah, I
So
know what you
it's
mean.
health is not an accident for anyone.
Yeah, no, you got to work at it. You got to work at it. It's a work in
Yeah,
progress. Yeah.
yeah. So that's really how it happened. And since then, I have experimented a lot with different styles of veganism because I was curious if what I started off doing was really the best way. I'm definitely curious. I've been exposed to different styles of eating vegan since then, dated, met other friends, things like that. And so I had to know for
Yeah.
sure if that was really the best way. And I tried some different things. And I would say definitely got lost a little bit in that. Because I mean, vegan great and whole food plant-based great, but even like whole food plant-based, but in like even the keto direction doesn't work for me. And maybe it would work for someone else. It's not necessarily what I advocate based on my experience, but just for my body and the previous conditions and the genetics that I was dealt, I think that anyone can make a vegan diet work for them. However they want to do it, I am in full support of that. But I think that it's so crucial to figure out what does work for you. And I do think that the majority of the population probably doesn't need to be even keto on vegan, for example. There's some
Right.
extremes that I think are maybe not worth exploring based on my firsthand experience.
Right, right. Well, I think any extreme needs to be, kind of looked at a little bit more closely. That's just my opinion.
Mhm. Yeah, we need to consider that, take it seriously, and I think that definitely figuring out what works for our bodies, but also really, truly, I think that it would be extremely rare to come across someone who can't find a way of doing vegan that
I
doesn't
agree.
actually work for them. But it
I
is a matter
agree.
of actually being willing to try different things. If you're not willing to try different things, then yeah, you might not have tried just the right thing for yourself right when you started out. And certain supplements are really important, I think, especially depending on the person. With my history of digestive issues, supplements are crucial for me. I can't go down the purest path of being like, no supplements
Yeah.
ever. Because I just, no matter what I put in my mouth, there are certain things that my body doesn't do a great job of absorbing because there's a lot of scar tissue and stuff in my colon.
And
So,
and and it sounds like you're still healing.
yeah, I would say that I don't think that healing is ever a finite process,
There
first
we
of all.
go.
I
There we
think
go.
that it's a lifetime journey. It's a
There we go.
lifelong journey.
Yeah.
And then I also would say that there's, in that regard, maybe like managing is a better word for it. Although day to day, I don't have any significant issues to speak of. And I'm not on any medication for
Oh
anything.
my
So,
gosh. After being told that you would basically reach like the max, the limit, and the pharmacist could go no further. Like imagine that.
yeah, yeah, they wanted to put me on Humira and some other drugs, and they weren't even really sure what it was. They kept saying Crohn's, and then since then, I really think it was ulcerative colitis. But once I felt better, I wanted to tell them why I felt better and what I was doing differently. And I was like, you gotta, tell your patients about this. I thought I had discovered this totally new thing. They
Yeah.
were not interested at all. And I was like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna see you anymore. I'm good.
Yeah, yeah, because they cannot write a prescription for what you are
Mhm.
actually, using to heal yourself. And,
Mhm.
it seems like a lot of oftentimes their role is to write your prescription and they just can't write it. They can write on their pad, raw vegan diet, do your research, et cetera, join a
Mhm.
community, et cetera, get some counseling, et cetera. But
Mhm.
that's not really what they do.
No, and I respect what they do. I mean, if you're in a car accident, like you need to go to the ER. Like there's a
Yes.
lot of important things that they do.
Yes, totally. Totally.
It's really important. It's just these chronic conditions, especially, I think are just not built for our standard Western medicine and how that is approached. And I think that the idea of keeping up with enough nutrition research for most doctors is very daunting with their current schedule. I don't think it's malicious in any way. I just think that, I mean, maybe it depends on the person, but I, I, I just think that they're just a little misinformed,
Yeah.
and maybe some of them get a little discouraged if they've made recommendations to patients who don't want to explore those things. But I think that
Right.
it's vital to have as part of the conversation so that people know that they have that option and
Yeah,
if
and
they're
I'm
willing to
glad you
go
brought
for it.
that up. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, Amanda, because oftentimes it is easier to pop a pill than it is
Mhm.
to change our diet and lifestyle. It's not
Yeah.
easy. You've just explained your tumultuous journey through trying different options and different varieties of a vegan diet. So you've already explained that, and it took you x amount of time. So
Mhm.
imagine a person, like the average person, who's like super into whatever the standard mainstream diet is. For them,
Mhm.
it's just easier to pop a pill and just
Mhm.
cross your fingers and hope you get better. I mean, so definitely you took the hard I
You
applaud
know,
you.
the pill never comes without side effects. I guess the other stuff, if anything, it has side effects of maybe your body adjusting to more fiber or something like that when it's new. But to me, I actually still think I took the easy way because once you start piling those on, then you get this side effect and you need this pill for this side effect, or it increases your risk of getting something like our current situation with COVID because it's suppressing your immune system.
Exactly.
It just brings some other risks to it. And I know that it maybe sounds like a big obstacle to climb over, but I mean, I was 26 or 27, I wasn't expecting to die anytime soon. I have my whole life to climb over that obstacle.
Yeah, yeah.
So
and and
it's,
and you bring up a good point because you get a side effect and then you need another pill for that side effect and then that one
mhm.
creates another. It's like a domino effect, and then you end up walking around with a bag of pills. And I mean, literally I've seen this happen to people. I've seen it
Yeah,
happen, and it is not good.
yeah, it is. It really saddens me when I see that because I just feel like most of us don't realize that there is another option. And even with that, I think that there's the discussion of the medication with the lifestyle adjustments, and then start seeing where you can land with that, because maybe you're diabetic and you can at least just reduce your insulin that you're taking significantly, like massively. It's still such an improvement. Like, it's important to be able to just explore that, and then it's, again, you figure out what works for you and settle in that place. So it wasn't even, when I suggested this to the doctor, it wasn't even like I was trying to take away everyone's pills. It was just like, hey, maybe this will help with the pills.
Right, right. And you know, some people like they do like, you know, improve their diet and still, you know, continue the pills
Hmm.
until they see, you know, that
Hmm.
they're improving, and then they're like, hey,
Yeah,
you know, they wean themselves off of them, off the
yeah,
pills, I mean. Mhm.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. Just, you don't
Yeah.
know if you don't try it.
Yeah, we have a fresh natural fitnessing. I wish I could stick around for this conversation. Such a good topic. Well, fresh natural fitness, we will be saving the lives, so you can log back on at any time and pick up where you left off. So thank you so much for joining. So, Amanda, I think we covered the diet and how you kind of stumbled upon it, like based
Mhm.
on, you know, folks you were following in the vegan world. Tell us a bit, and I don't know, maybe we can kind of guess, but tell us why you named your page Amanda Finds Freedom.
Yeah, I guess for quite a few years, I have sort of experienced, without knowing it, this discovering new forms of freedom for myself, I guess. Like when I started my first business, it supplies a lot of location freedom for me. So I can live wherever I want. I can travel whenever I want. Work just
Yeah,
comes with me in my laptop. I just
yeah,
need Wi-Fi.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so there's stuff like that. There's even what I'm going for now, more like time freedom, because I tend to have a lot of meetings, and it's nice. Like, I've gotten into surfing recently, which is another thing, but it's nice to be able to just say, oh, the waves are good, I'm just gonna go right now, instead of, I can't go right now, I have a meeting.
You have to catch the wave. You have to catch the wave.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So and then, I mean, obviously, with all of the health changes that we're talking about, I have freedom from medication, freedom from pills and side effects. I have freedom from being tied to a bathroom or a doctor's office, or having to spend all of that money even on all of those medications and doctor visits. And I think that there's just so many different forms of freedom that we can have if we start looking for those and cultivating those. And some of it requires us pushing a little bit maybe past our fears, because society tells us that there's a certain way that we live. And just on the other side of it, just some baby steps beyond that. You don't even have to go far. It's a lot more freedom.
I love that. I am so glad I asked you that question, because I was
Oh.
only gonna guess that it was kind of like, you know, like a physical health freedom. And I'm so glad that you like expanded like on your basic, you know, your whole life, the whole wheel of your life, basically, like
Mhm.
so many aspects. You know, again, not just physical health, but so many aspects. So that is just awesome. That is
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I feel inspired. Thank you for sharing that. It's
That's my
true.
goal. Thank you.
Yeah, no, no, no. That's food for thought for me. I'm like, whoa, I'm gonna be thinking about that later. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So, guys, thanks for joining. If you have questions for Amanda, just pop them down in the comment section below, and she'll be happy to answer them. And meanwhile, we're going to continue here. Our next question is regarding your plant-based nutrition certification. If you could tell us a bit about that. And I know that you also have like videos and coaching, so you could kind of, you know, lead us into that topic as well, please.
Sure. Yeah. So I have a definite passion for health. I think that I mean, it's a vital part of being able to enjoy our lives. And I definitely know that firsthand. But I always wanted to explore some other sort of nutrition type courses, and I had done some research and had settled on starting, at least, I plan on taking some others, but starting at least with the Ecornel plant-based nutrition certification, because I thought it was probably a good baseline. It's a very reputable organization. And it's actually run, or started at least, by T. Colin Campbell, who was he's the author of the China Study, which is one of the things that I read early on when I went vegan and was just like, why are we eating these?
Oh, no, it's true. I'm glad you mentioned him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and he has so many wonderful experts in that course. All of the information that you read, the sort of worksheets and quizzes that you do, and the videos that they have. People like Dr. Neil Bernard. I think he has Dr. Greger in there. He's got just so many different experts in this plant-based nutrition field. Dr. Esselstyn. It just is such a comprehensive sort of foundation for understanding plant-based nutrition and whole food plant-based eating. He talks about the concept of reductionism in our current scientific process, basically, of trying to isolate these single nutrients versus the whole being greater than the sum of its parts with whole food, and looking at things in a holistic kind of way. And just acknowledging that there's so many things about that whole food that we don't even yet know that is
Right.
benefiting us and working synergistically with the other things that it comes prepackaged with.
Wow.
So it was an excellent course. I highly recommend it if anyone is ever curious about exploring something like that. It was super helpful for me, but I also feel just a little bit more responsible in how I'm able to communicate my message too, because I just don't want to be out there sharing misinformation. And I did take that in, I think it was spring of 2019, around then. And yeah, it was just a great experience. I loved the course.
Yeah, that's awesome. We have a question here from Nick Vaz 49. Recently got on Accurate for my skin and wondering Amanda's thoughts on that. Never went raw, but been vegan a year. I don't know if he
Okay, so
means,
that's
I don't know what he means.
Accutane.
Acne. Oh, okay, he's saying accurate. Okay.
Accutane, I think, is what that was.
Ooh,
So I
that sounds pretty
actually,
powerful.
it is strong stuff. Yeah, I would be very careful with that medication. I can't recall, yeah,
He
Accutane.
said
I can't
Accutane, yeah.
recall exactly the side effects, but I think that they included things like long-term use resulting in digestive issues, sort of permanent damage that could happen with that, definitely things like depression and anxiety. So not to stress you out more, because that's not going to help,
Right,
but
totally.
just definitely be careful and know what you're getting into. I did have a very severe acne issue. It was about 3 years ago, which was after I already went vegan too, which was part of what was so confusing because I mean, if I talk to any doctor, they're like, well, cut out dairy. And I'm like, well, that's been done.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Done. Check that off. Yeah.
yeah. There
Could it
is,
be
I can,
detox, you think? Or is it like a detox thing? Because I know that happens to me, like I get little pimples when like I'm detoxing, but I don't know.
yeah, that's not something, Accutane would be very severe acne, like what I had. It was, I mean, it just covered my whole face. It's like having a pimple on your entire face. It was like people stared at me in the grocery store. It was very unnerving. So for me, I can just share my experience with that. There were a few things. One was that I was took a bad situation and made it worse by changing what I was using constantly, trying to find something that would work. You don't want to do that because then you never know what maybe helped and what maybe didn't. You also don't want to irritate your skin by throwing so many different things at it. Stress was a big part of mine. I actually have a video that I put out recently about the vagus nerve, so you can check for that. That helps bring your stress levels down. It's sort of some hacks beyond the standard meditation, yoga, go for walks, get fresh air kind of stuff. But actually, I had tried to go like really strict purist raw vegan at that time, and I was told repeatedly that it was detox. My opinion is that it wasn't, because it wasn't clearing. If it was detox, then there would be progress. Yeah, I was about 29, 30. Oh, thank you. You're so sweet.
Your skin does look amazing. I agree, Nick Baz. I agree.
You guys
Yeah.
keep in mind these cameras have like all kinds of like it's got probably some kind of beauty filter that it
No,
has.
it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You're being modest. You're being modest, you know?
We just need to be realistic. But yeah, I was 30 when this happened, so I do think as a woman, maybe my hormones were shifting as well. But I had gone raw vegan, like very in a very strict way, to the point where I wasn't even using any salt. And I am very physically active. And I think the issue that I ran into was that I was trying to replace salt with certain foods that actually, when I ate them in those quantities, were irritating for my skin. Because I had never had those foods in the large amount that I was suddenly eating them in. So for me, it was foods like tomatoes, seaweed, things that I will definitely eat now. Too much chocolate, too much cacao, which are, I think, one of the more common things. Actually, too many mushrooms or corn, those were issues. So there was sort of a list of things, and they're actually what I discovered with a holistic nutritionist, and I can come back in here and link to her if you'd like to consult with her. She does online consultations, and she's very familiar with the vegan diet and even raw vegan. Um, what we concluded was that there were a set of foods with naturally occurring MSG. So it's totally natural. It's supposed to be there. But I just seem to be sensitive to them. I think that that might be partially because of my history with digestive issues. They actually put me on antibiotics for my skin at one point, like in my early 20s for acne. Like that was a bad idea. I think that our skin and our digestion are very closely linked. So I would consider that. I would definitely speak with someone like the person that I recommend that I can add back in. So check on this later. And what part of what she did with me was an elimination diet. So I actually wound up going off raw and was eating basically like quinoa and steamed vegetables for like 2 weeks and drinking distilled water to let things calm down so that then when we could start reintroducing things and see what was triggering stuff, because it was also actually a little itchy. I don't know if that was just because it was so irritated. I mean, it was really drastic. I can add a picture of what it looked like. It was, you would not believe it. I mean, it was, it was so bad. So I also have a video with Jack from Raw Tropical Living. It's on his channel, but it is a much longer explanation of my acne experience as a vegan and what I found fixed that.
I think,
'Cause
isn't
it's a
that in
big
your
problem.
link tree? Is that in your link tree?
Yes.
I think
Yep.
I saw it in your link tree. So Nick Vaz 49, you might want to check that out. And also
Mhm.
Amanda will, reference someone who she thinks can give you some really good help with that too, Nick.
Yeah, if you've been a vegan for a year, there may very well be things that you're eating a lot more of now that you didn't used to, and you might have some sensitivities to some of those things. Nightshades even, or eggplant, could be an issue for some, so you're gonna want to look at that. It's very much a possibility. I think at this point it probably isn't detox. That's not what I would call that if it's been going on for long enough. So. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm
Thank
so
you so
sorry you're
much.
going
Yeah.
through that.
Yeah, Nick, thanks for sharing. And please do check out Amanda's link in her profile, in her bio. She has like a whole link tree and lots of different links.
Mhm.
And then, like I said, she'll also share the reference. He says, I have oily skin and seam said it's, oh, and they said it's that.
I have oily skin now. Before, my whole life, I grew up in Florida. I don't know, my mom has oily skin. It's genetics. That's not just it. And you don't want to over dry your skin, actually. I won't put oil on my skin. I don't use oil on it, but I do keep it very moisturized.
Well,
Yep,
I
I
am
got
just
you.
glowing here in coconut oil. So
Yeah, yeah,
I'm the
yeah.
coconut oil lady here, okay? So I just,
Yeah.
Everything for me is just coconut oil everywhere on my hair, on my face. Oh yeah, that's my solution.
Yeah, you definitely don't try too many different things too fast, and just what works for either of us, what works for one person might not be what works for you. So you're gonna have to, I think the elimination diet and speaking with that holistic nutritionist would by far be the best place to start. Um, so
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks, Amanda and Nick. So tell us a bit more about your videos and your coaching services.
mhm. Yeah, so I also create YouTube videos. Oh, thank you.
Thank you,
You're so
Nick.
sweet.
Yes, that's kind of you. Thank you, Nick.
I create YouTube videos because that's really how I found veganism, through YouTube videos more than anything else. While I was stuck in bed, I had a lot of time to read and watch YouTube videos. So,
Yeah.
um, I, since going vegan 5.5 years ago, I've always wanted to share more of what I've experienced online, because I just felt like it's still a small enough community that it's not, people aren't exposed to it enough or often enough, and you never know what part of your message might really resonate with someone. We all have something important to share. But I was scared and I was nervous, so I really only started recently. It's just a little small channel here on Instagram and on YouTube. But I think YouTube was kind of my first love with that, because I really just wanted to be able to do these sort of deep dive conversations about everything, and to try to provide basically as much information as I could on a given topic. And so I'm creating videos for YouTube over there. You can find links to those videos in my bio. Um, and then I do offer donations-based health coaching right now. I've helped people with some autoimmune situations. I've helped people with some digestive issues. I've helped people transition to veganism or transition to raw and figure out maybe how raw they actually want to be, because it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. So I've been able to help people with different things like that, with their stress, because I've pretty much experienced it all at this point.
Like firsthand, like you just went through the ringer. I mean, I am like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a little funny sounding to me sometimes, because I'm like, I think I've had everything.
Oh my
But
gosh. But you know, I mean, at least you're here to tell the tale and to help other people. And that's what's so
yeah.
awesome to me. I mean, I know you suffered for years and that's not awesome. But the fact that you can now help people like from
Mhm.
firsthand experience from me, that's awesome.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I really wouldn't. I'm so thankful for that. I wouldn't be vegan if I didn't go through all of those colitis issues.
Yeah.
That's what led me here.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very thankful for that. But the health coaching is donations based, because I don't want anyone to ever have a financial limitation to their ability to just be well. That said, I can only take between 3 to 5 clients at a time. So if I'm already busy, there might be a wait list or something, because there's only so much time that I do have.
Of course. Of course.
Um, and so that's all donations based. And then I actually finished my first ebook recently. It's not out yet, but I'm really
Oh,
excited to
all
put it out
right.
soon.
Well,
I
when you
finished
put it
writing.
out, I will share it in stories. So I will be
Oh,
on the
thank you.
lookout. I'll be on the lookout for that. Yeah.
Thank you. That
Hmm.
one is essentially it's your vegan toolkit for digestive issues. It started focused on colitis because that's my main experience, but I really think now that I've put everything together, it's applicable to such a variety of digestive issues. So that will be coming out soon, well before the end of the year, probably sometime this month. It's very, very close to coming out. So
Well, that's awesome. So, guys, thanks for joining. I see a few more just joined. Amanda's just sharing that she has an ebook coming out soon. So that's a sneak peek preview for us. And if you guys have comments or questions for Amanda, please pop them down in the comment section below. Now, Nick Bass says, acne and being 100 pounds overweight led me to veganism too. Wow, that's awesome,
that's
Nick.
awesome. Yeah.
That is,
We're glad to have you.
congratulations. Yes, congratulations. Welcome. Thank you. That's awesome. So meanwhile, while we wait for questions and we have 20 minutes left, Amanda, tell us, what's it like being a vegan when you travel? Now, I know we're in a totally
Hmm.
different, energy right now with the global pandemic. So I'm not talking about right this moment, but in,
Hmm.
in general, in the last X number of years, what's it been like for you
Hmm.
traveling as a vegan? Maybe one or two ways that you found to really kind of, master that.
Yeah, yeah. So I've actually done quite a bit of that. It's all been in Central America, but with the type of work I do, I've been able to just wander around as I wanted up until now.
I know everyone is, we're all sitting on our hands.
I know. So I will say when I went to Mexico, that was the first country that I had traveled to internationally. Um, I did struggle a little bit. I was still fairly new to veganism, and it was a totally different language. So I would look at labels and sometimes misunderstand something or just miss a word entirely. Yeah,
I've done that.
yeah, yeah. So you can relate.
Oh, yes.
It's a different experience for
Yeah,
sure. So
yeah.
I would say definitely practice patience and compassion with yourself because you are doing your best. Also be honest with yourself and do put effort into learning the language because it's a lot of fun. And once you get better with whatever language it is if you're traveling somewhere overseas, it does get easier. And one thing that you can do pretty easily that I definitely did a lot of because I eat a lot of fruit is if you are literally in the produce section and you're buying a cucumber and a mango, you know that those are vegan.
That, to me, that's like the number one tip there, right there. It's true. In
You can
any
go
in,
to,
in any language, right? It's still
yes, yes. You're holding the piece of produce, you know what it is. Or maybe you don't know what it is, but you know it's produce. So sometimes that's fun too.
right, because it could be an exotic fruit that or an
Yes.
exotic vegetable that we personally haven't tried. Let's say,
Yeah.
wherever we're living, but we travel somewhere
Hmm.
like you're saying. But it's a plant, right? And it came
Hmm.
from the earth. And so that's a really cool point.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then the other thing I would say is that if you want to dine out, Happy Cow works overseas. Get that app, and you can find local vegan restaurants or restaurants with vegan options. And you know before you go even what people have been asking for previously. So you know very personal experiences from that app. There were actually a surprising number of vegan restaurants in Mexico. I went to Tulum and they have a veg fest there every year now, which is awesome.
Nice. Tulum is so popular. It's
Oh, it is.
amazing. Yeah,
It really is. But
yeah.
the adventure is so, so worth it. Don't feel like you can't travel because you're vegan. It's honestly very easy to travel as a vegan. It really
And it's
is.
it's just getting easier and easier, I feel. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
definitely.
Depending on the culture, a lot of cultures, like traditionally, are much more plant-based than we
Yeah,
are
they're like
too.
accidentally vegan
Yeah.
for many of their local dishes. Some of them are
Yeah.
accidentally vegan, and I'm always thrilled.
Hmm.
I don't have to explain anything. I don't have to
Yep.
figure out anything. I know there are tomatoes, onions, and
Hmm.
some kind of like little plant sprinkled on it. Yep, yep. I'll have one of those. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, I miss traveling.
Oh, I know, I know. Okay, okay, okay. I'm not gonna make you nostalgic here. We're gonna move on to our next question. So, Amanda, tell us what inspires you with your recipes, in terms of,
Mhm.
because I've seen some of them. They're super beautiful, super yummy on your page,
Oh,
and
you're so
it's
sweet.
it's true. So, what's kind of some of the inspiration behind, your recipes?
So first and foremost, I'm always asking, how is this going to make me feel when I make something? Because I have control over it when I'm making it at home. So why not do what I think will serve me best? As much as possible. I care about taste too, let's be
No, no,
clear.
no, but I love that. No, no, but the taste comes. The taste comes after your
Yeah.
intention. Oh, I love that. Oh,
Yeah, it does. And I mean, your taste buds adapt to whatever you're eating. I crave, like, I like the taste of like just fresh turmeric. It's so weird, but I love it. It's just got like a very unique flavor, and I think it's delicious.
well, I had turmeric, carrots, and orange, and
Mm.
some other herbs this morning, all blended up like to make a
Mm,
smoothie. And I tell you, it was yummy. Oh, I put cayenne pepper in it as well, and of course
ooh,
black pepper.
nice.
Yeah, and because I wanted like a kick to it, even though the turmeric has kick to it as well. And I was trying to
Hmm.
stay all in the same colors with the oranges and the
Hmm.
carrots and the turmeric. They're all in
Yeah,
the same color. So
yeah,
I totally agree with
yeah. Yeah, I think that that's even something to consider. I will definitely eat things that like look a little weird. It's not what I would typically share on Instagram because it needs to look attractive here, but we do eat with our eyes. So like when you were making that smoothie, you were like, I want this one to be a nice color. I want it to
yeah.
look appealing.
That's what I was going for. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that that's important, especially if you're new to vegan or raw or anywhere on that spectrum. Um, you still need to make things that are appealing to you. You need to enjoy what you're eating. So it's going to be really hard to stay vegan if you just don't like anything that you're eating, and you don't have to eat smoothies all day.
Right.
Like
Right,
it's not
guys. Right, guys. Okay,
necessary.
so this was my breakfast, guys. So I'm not saying I personally eat smoothies all day, and I'm not recommending you do it either.
Yeah,
You do
yeah,
what you want. Do what you
yeah.
want.
Yeah, you share some awesome food on your channel. All of the, I thought maybe you were in Spain. That's why I had told you about the time
I
change, because
know.
I was
No, I
like,
was
ooh.
there, and because I really focus like on a travel lifestyle, that's why I'm still
Mhm,
posting from previous trips that I've never shared these photos before. So I have a
mhm.
backlog of photos from my trips. And
Nice.
of course, I haven't been able to travel since March. So at some point I might run out, but I'll just start posting. Here's a carrot. Here's a purple carrot. Here's a purple carrot. Here's a yellow carrot.
Uh-huh.
Here's a red apple. Here's
Hmm.
a red pear.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. But anyway, that's enough about me. So let's go to our next question, which is naysayers, critics of our vegan diet and lifestyle. How do you handle that when people, are really kind of negative and not very supportive of our lifestyle?
So the very first thing that I try to remind myself of is to be empathetic because they probably just haven't had any exposure to this. They've clearly never tried it. They have no idea how good they could feel. They have absolutely no clue. And honestly, that's really sad. I feel bad about that. I didn't know that I could have the energy that I had when I was 12 as an adult. Like,
It's amazing.
if I didn't try it, I would have no idea that that was possible. So I think that the very first thing is to try to be empathetic and compassionate. And it is frustrating. It is so frustrating that it's fair for you to have those emotions too. And I think that depending on the scenario, depending on who it is, depending on how they're approaching it, the route of just literally not responding or not engaging in that debate is a really one of the most peaceful routes. Because if they're being rather argumentative about it, you're not going to get through to them. So it's much easier for you because I am also, concerned about stress and everything to just let it go and not try to be right. It's easier to not try to be right in those scenarios. And if it is someone asking genuine questions, then by all means, you can have a great conversation
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love how you're just trying to keep the peace and keep your energy and your vibrations
Mhm.
high. We have a
Yeah.
question here from Nick Vaz here. Follow the McDougall diet. Does Amanda follow a specific vegan expert in terms of diet?
My two favorite experts are Dr. Greger and Brenda Davis. And
Yes. She co-authored a book on raw veganism. I love that book.
becoming vegan and becoming raw
I
are
love it.
like the Bibles to transitioning in either one of those scenarios. And she talks about it not needing to be the raw thing, not needing to be this purist 100% or nothing kind of situation, because it's just not reality.
Yeah, because she defines, or she and her co-author define raw vegan as 75% or more by
hmm
weight. And I know a
hmm
lot of people walk around saying, well, if you're going to call yourself raw vegan, you need to be 100% or 98% if you're eating, cashews, for example, right? They'll give that as an example.
hmm
But I personally agree with the whole Brenda and co-author
hmm
definition of, hey, if
Yeah.
it's 75% or more, hey, call yourself a raw vegan. If
hmm
it's 50% or more, call yourself a high raw. Like, I
Yeah.
personally agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you're vegan, then like the rest of it's just sort of a wash. Like
Totally.
let's not get too nitpicky with the rest of those labels. It gets a little too confusing.
And it gets competitive. I feel it
Yeah.
gets very competitive and very
hmm
divisive. And I don't
hmm
think it's very helpful for our community because, we need to move forward.
hmm Yeah, I think that from the outside of someone who's not vegan at all, that would be a turnoff. It would be like, why would I want to be a part of this?
Right. If we're
So,
like bickering and squabbling between ourselves, then I think that defeats a big part of the purpose, in my opinion.
mhm. Yeah, exactly. And then Dr. Greger's How Not to Die, How Not to Diet, and How Not to Diet cookbook, actually, that he has out, have been, they're like encyclopedias. I mean, like, it's so dry. Like, it's a little hard to read because it's so dry. But he really does a good job of just aggregating all of the science and sort of being like, here you go, you can decide what you want to do with it. But it supports so much of the whole food, plant-based, and even higher fruit ways of eating. He's a big advocate of legumes and beans and just so many really intelligent foods.
Yeah, I really like McGregor as well. I mean, Nick says, my family are jerks to me because I'm not vegan and picked on by so-called friends. Wow.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry
that's
about that.
hard. Yeah.
So So your family, that actually sounds like the reverse of what most people experience because I'm guessing your whole family, or
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand now. Yeah, I'm sorry about
Yeah.
that. That's really hard. One thing that I have done, and I know we have the holidays coming up, I've made a fun game out of it, where they're not laughing at me, they're laughing with me, because I have honestly cooked vegan dishes, or I think very similar to non-vegan dishes at this point. That's like totally fine, but I do like my weird raw vegan thing. So I'll try to do this like full on like feast with like raw vegan replacements. And I'm gonna be really honest, they are not like what my family is eating at all. So everyone's a good sport about it, and we all get plates, and they get to try a little bit of everything and then try to guess. We have a game with they're supposed to guess what it's supposed to be.
Oh, I love
It's just
that.
hilarious.
I love that. I thought you were going to say that you veganize some of the like the standard dishes, because I know a lot of people do that.
Yeah, it's great. And I've had like one of my exes used to make food for the holidays that honestly my family would love. Like they ate the rest of it. Like my two stepbrothers just downed all of the vegan. We're like, okay, what are we gonna eat now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But with the raw vegan, it's definitely asking a little much, and I
Yeah.
just think it's really funny. It's become our holiday tradition for Thanksgiving and Christmas,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
sometimes they really like it.
I love that. And I kind of feel like you might have covered a little bit of the newbies, and we only have 6 minutes left. But
Okay.
tell us, just a couple of tips you have for newbies or vegan curious people, in terms of like how to kind of kick them off, get
Yeah.
them started on their journey.
Yeah, I would say definitely get clear about your commitment to actually doing it. I'm all for people transitioning and taking things slowly if they need to. By all means, your gut microbiome will probably adjust to having a lot more fiber. So, you know, don't hurt yourself. Transition at whatever pace you need to transition. But I think in order for a transition to be successful, you have to be very clear why you're doing it and that you are genuinely committed to it being not a transition at one point. Because otherwise that can just be a permanent place.
I love that.
Yeah. And then try new recipes, follow lots of different people, and cherry pick the things that work for you. Don't take just one person's advice for absolutely everything as like just gospel and refuse to listen to other possibilities. Cherry pick what vegan things work for you, just the same way you would pick your favorite recipes. And honestly, most of us, I think Lissa from Raw Food Romance talks about your fallback five. Most of us have certain recipes at home that we gravitate to constantly, whether we're vegan or not. So find the things that you want to eat constantly
Yeah, yeah.
and be okay with that. It's not like you need to eat some crazy, elaborate, gourmet, like restaurant food with like a different meal at every meal and every day of the week. And none of us did that when we weren't vegan. So,
Exactly. So Nick Bass has an interesting comment. He said, be prepared to get used to I haven't even finished and we're both laughing. Be prepared to get used to the potty too. Yes, Nick, this is true. This is true. For all the newbies and the vegan curious, you will be visiting the bathroom a little bit more frequently than you used to, probably.
a
So
little
we
bit more frequently.
Yeah, yeah. So we have 3 minutes left, and we have three topics to cover. So
Okay.
tell is okay. So you told us about your future project with your ebook coming out
Mhm.
soon. Is there anything else you wanted to share in terms of your future projects?
I am doing a Let's Cook Raw episode. We haven't picked the date yet, but it is going to be my raw vegan, I call it Spanish rice recipe, but really to me, it reminds me of paella.
Oh
I
yeah.
just don't want people to, a paella could be a stretch for some people. So I didn't want to call it that. That recipe is actually already on my Instagram feed if you're curious. And I have some other ebooks in the pipeline. The next one that I am working on, I believe I will do something about the vagus nerve and stress levels. And then I also think that I'm going to do a recipe book for some gourmet popsicles. So,
Oh,
which
I
I just
saw
shared
your
my
post on popsicles today. They were cute. They were really cute. They were
Thank
cute.
you.
Yeah. So where can people contact you for questions, collaboration? What's the best way to
Mhm.
contact you?
Yeah, honestly, Instagram is super easy. Just contact me on the messages there. You can DM me. I'm all about having open conversations. So even if you just want to leave a comment, we can talk there. And then my email is amandafindsfreedom@gmail.com. So that's spelled exactly like how my handle is spelled. So if you want to take it off Instagram for some reason and you want to keep it private, then that's an option as well. But I'm an open book, so whatever you want to discuss.
Awesome. All right. So we have probably a minute and a half left. So, ooh la la, it's a minute. Yikes. So, Amanda, I just want to thank you again for taking the time. I've learned a lot, and I just want you to just kind of close us out, wrap it up with a bow here for us, please.
hmm um, honestly, just enjoy your life, practice gratitude, do what you can to support your own happiness and your ability to have a positive impact on the planet and on those around you. And when you're going vegan, just figure out what works for you and don't give up until you find that out. You can cherry pick whatever you want from whoever you follow. So
Awesome.
find what works for you.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to save it so we don't lose it. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Amanda, and take good care.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.